There is a reason why people are not more creative. And what I see in most people that would like to be more creative but aren't is that they have just too many things going on. Just the sheer maintenance of what they have to do to keep up with the complicated life that they've created for themselves leaves no room for creativity whatsoever. They've created such a complicated and full life, and with full I mean stuffed full of things, that there is absolutely no more room for creativity. And that could be literally actual physical objects like stuff, right? Because all these things that you own, they need to be maintained, right? They need to be cleaned, they need to be dusted, they need to be taken care of. Maybe something breaks and you need to repair it. So all these things that you own need maintenance. And I know a lot of people who have so many things that they need to maintain that there's literally no time at the end of the day to become creative or to work on their projects. Then I also see that people are so busy with their like social engagements, with their schedule. Like they pack their schedule so full of things that they leave no room for doing nothing. So they leave no room for ever being bored. And if you're never bored, if you never leave room for, let's say, you don't plan anything for a weekend, like you like this weekend, I have absolutely zero plans. I didn't even ask a friend what they're gonna do. I didn't plan anything. Well, if you never do that, then how are you gonna ever sit down, be bored, and be like, maybe, what could I do today? Maybe I can come up with something creative to do, or work on, or keep working on my project, or experiment with something. So if your schedule is always full, and most of the time I think people are not aware of that. They think whatever they do, their schedule, whatever they've planned is mandatory and necessary to keep a social life, to keep a healthy life. And that could, in a way, I get that because we want to have deep connections with other people. We want to, we want to have a balanced life, and social engagements are a way to balance your life. But I've noticed that a lot of people, they just have a problem with being alone, or they have a problem with not having anything planned. So if you want to be more creative, you have to you have to keep creating space. You have to start creating space so that you can actually be creative. Carve out time, carve out room, like actual physical space. Maybe create a work area in your house where you can work at, like where you can be creative. If you're a painter, find a spot where you can paint, where you don't have to um, put your paint away every day, where you can leave it, or where your computer can sit if you're a writer, or whatever it is. There needs to be a designated space, and in general, there needs to be more space. I don't know if you ever saw a photo of Steve Jobs, who I think for a while lived in an apartment which only had one bed and there was no furniture. The apartment was completely empty. And and I think in these years or in these months where he lived like this, he came up with these brilliant ideas, that he had. And so physical space is very, very important. The more room you create, the more space you're going to have in your mind as well. So yeah, declutter your house. Declutter your house. Declutter your space. I also, maybe you know Eckhart Tolle, who after he quit his job, he actually spent 2 years on a park bench where he contemplated life. And that was before he wrote The Power of Now, which is now a bestseller all over the world. But he took 2 years of just sitting in silence on a park bench every day. That was his space. He had no social engagements. He didn't meet up with anybody. He was just sitting there contemplating. And basically, he was brewing up this idea of this book by creating space. He needed the space to be able to even filter the idea, right, through the divine, like what wanted to come through. So yeah, where are you in your life? Where are you having too much stuff? Is it like social engagements? Is it physical stuff? Yeah, because if you, and some people are afraid of that space, they're like afraid that if they create that space, then oh my God, what is going to happen? It feels uncomfortable, but you need to make that space in order to create something. Okay. Leave me a comment if you struggle with creating space, or if you feel like, man, there's never enough time at the end of the day to create the things that I really want to create. Why is that? Let me know if you've been struggling with that. Okay.